Most people think becoming unbreakable means becoming harder. They imagine someone who no longer feels pain, no longer doubts, no longer trembles when life gets uncertain. Someone made of iron, someone nothing can touch. But I don't think that's real strength. The strongest people I've ever known were not the ones who felt nothing. They were the ones who felt everything and still didn't abandon themselves. That's different. Because becoming unbreakable doesn't mean turning your heart into stone. It doesn't mean pretending you're fine when you're falling apart. It doesn't mean hiding behind silence, ambition, sarcasm, or control, just so no one can see the places where you still hurt. No. To become unbreakable is to learn how to bend without losing yourself. Like bamboo in a storm. A rigid tree may look strong, standing tall and refusing to move. But when the wind becomes too violent, that same stiffness can become its weakness. Bamboo survives because it knows how to bow. It moves with the storm. It yields, but it does not disappear. There is wisdom in softness, and the world often misunderstands that. From the time we're young, many of us are taught to build a version of ourselves that looks strong from the outside. A version that performs well, smiles at the right time, keeps going, doesn't complain, doesn't need too much. So we start confusing resilience with pretending. We think, if I can keep moving, I must be strong. But sometimes keeping moving is just fear wearing a disciplined face. You can achieve a lot and still be running from yourself. You can look confident and still feel like a child inside, hoping nobody notices how uncertain you really are. That's why real strength begins with honesty, not motivation, not perfection. Honesty. The moment you stop pretending you're not hurt, something inside you finally stops splitting in two. One part of you no longer has to perform strength, while another part quietly bleeds behind the curtain. You become whole again. And wholeness is stronger than perfection. Because pain itself usually isn't what breaks us. Pain is part of being alive. Everyone loses something. Everyone gets disappointed. Everyone has nights when the future feels too heavy to look at. What breaks us is the belief that we shouldn't be hurting. That belief turns pain into shame. It makes us ask, why am I like this? Why am I not over it yet? Why can't I be stronger? But listen, a wound does not heal faster because you insult it. A frightened heart does not become brave because you shame it. And a tired human being does not become unbreakable by declaring war on themselves. You become unbreakable by learning how to stay with yourself. You learn to feel fear without letting fear drive the car. You learn to feel grief without turning it into your whole identity. You learn to feel anger without handing it the keys to your mouth. You learn to say, I see what's happening inside me, but I don't have to become it. That is strength. Quiet strength. The kind nobody claps for. The kind that wakes up tired and still makes breakfast. The kind that takes one breath before reacting. The kind that chooses not to reopen an old wound just because loneliness feels familiar. And this matters because most growth is invisible while it's happening. You may still feel anxious. You may still doubt yourself. You may still have old memories visit you at the worst possible time. That doesn't mean nothing is changing. Sometimes growth is noticing the old pattern sooner. Sometimes it's recovering a little faster. Sometimes it's saying, not today, to a thought that used to control your whole day. Not today, shame. Not today, old fear. Not today, the voice that says, I'm too late. That may sound small, but it isn't. That is your nervous system learning a new language, and we have to be patient with that. The mind can understand a truth in a second, but the body often needs time to believe it. You can know you're safe now and still feel your chest tighten. You can know one rejection doesn't define your worth and still feel it in your stomach. You can forgive someone in your thoughts and still feel the echo in your bones. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're human. So please, don't turn healing into another battlefield. Don't say, "I should be further along by now." Further according to whom? Who decided that a human heart should recover like a machine being repaired in a factory? You are not a machine. You are a living thing. And living things don't grow in straight lines. They pause. They return. They bloom unevenly. One day you feel free, and the next day something hurts again. That isn't regression. That's the tide. And the tide is not wrong for returning. Becoming unbreakable also means learning the difference between your worth and your image. Your image is fragile. It depends on opinions, timing, appearance, success, attention, approval. One compliment lifts it. One criticism bruises it. One comparison can poison it. But your worth is older than all of that. Your worth does not begin when someone chooses you. It does not end when someone leaves. It is not created by applause, and it is not destroyed by silence. You are allowed to be a person, a real person, not a brand, not a performance, not a project forever under construction. And once you start treating yourself like a person instead of a problem to solve, something softens. Discipline changes. It stops being a punishment and becomes care. You sleep because your body is not your enemy. You set boundaries because your peace matters. You speak honestly because hiding costs too much. You keep small promises to yourself because every kept promise builds self-trust. And self-trust is deeper than confidence. Confidence says, "I know I can win." Self-trust says, "Even if I lose, I will not betray myself." That is the foundation, because life will not always be gentle. People will misunderstand you. Some will disappoint you. Some will love you only when you are easy to love. Some will praise your growth until your growth no longer fits their expectations. And yes, that hurts. But becoming unbreakable doesn't mean you never feel the hurt. It means the hurt doesn't get to decide who you become. You may have to release things you once thought you needed. The need to be understood by everyone. The need to be chosen by people who cannot see you clearly. The need to explain yourself until you disappear. The need to turn your past into a life sentence. At first, release may not feel like freedom. It may feel like emptiness, because we get used to carrying weight. We know who we are when we're fighting, fixing, pleasing, proving, surviving. So when peace arrives, it can feel unfamiliar, almost suspicious. But stay there. Let peace become familiar. Let calm stop feeling like a trap. Let your body learn that you don't have to recreate chaos just because chaos is what you know. And be gentle with the parts of you that still reach for old patterns. The overthinking was trying to protect you. The people-pleasing was trying to keep you safe. The emotional walls were trying to prevent another wound. They are not enemies. They are old guardians. But not every guardian knows when the war is over. So you don't have to destroy those parts of yourself. You can simply lead them. You can say, "Thank you for trying to protect me, but we have more choices now." That is inner strength, not being fearless, being able to feel fear and still choose. Most meaningful steps in life are taken while some part of us is still afraid. Courage is not the absence of trembling. It is deciding that trembling does not get the final vote. So take the next step. Not the perfect step, just the honest one. Drink the water, take the walk, make the call, close the door, open the window, begin again. And when life shakes, don't ask, how do I make sure nothing ever touches me? Ask, can I remain with myself while this passes through? Because everything passes through. The grief changes shape. The fear rises and falls. The failure that feels final becomes a chapter, then a memory, and sometimes, slowly, a source of wisdom. The unbreakable person is not the one with no cracks. It is the one who has learned to let light move through them. So become like the mountain, rooted, not rigid. Become like the river, gentle but persistent. Become like the sky, wide enough to hold the storm without becoming the storm. And when the world tells you to harden, soften wisely. When fear tells you to disappear, stay gently. When pain whispers, this is the end of your story, listen more deeply. Because underneath all that noise, life is saying something quieter. No, this is not the end. This is where you learn how much of you cannot be broken.